Hello, Willowbrook family. Today's daily Devo is found in Luke chapter 21. This is where some people give their offerings on Sunday. Their offering goes into a little slot that's on the top, and then it goes down into a locked and secure compartment. Now, I don't handle any money around here, but I am told by those who do that sometimes there'll be a generous check in there, and sometimes there might be a couple of pennies. It's all appreciated, it's all valued, and God blesses it. Now, during the final week of the life of Jesus, he spent a great amount of time teaching in the temple. Now, the first temple was built by Solomon, and then later it was destroyed. Then you can read about its rebuilding in the book of Ezra. But when Herod came along, he expanded the temple greatly. In fact, during the days of Jesus' teaching in the temple, it was still in the process of being remodeled and enhanced. But there was enough work that had been done that you could really begin to admire it. The temple was a beautiful place, and it was very busy with people. It was the center of life for the Jews. But for many Jews, the temple itself had become an idol to them. People put great trust in that building, and there were many rich and prominent people who liked to be seen in the temple. And oftentimes, they would make their big deals about their gifts and their offerings. But while Jesus and the disciples were there, a woman who was a poor widow gave a very small offering, less than 2 cents. And that, though, was very large in the eyes of Jesus. Most people, maybe even the disciples, would hardly notice the poor woman giving her offering. But Jesus took the opportunity to point out to the disciples that this woman gave more than anyone because she gave all she had to live on. The rich gave out of their abundance, but she gave out of her poverty. And the reason she could do this is because she had a simple yet profound trust in the Lord to provide for her. Her trust was not in things such as money or great big buildings, but her trust was in God Himself. Now, evidently, there were some disciples that didn't notice the weight of what Jesus was saying. And they were distracted with how beautiful and expensive everything was around them. So, Jesus takes the opportunity to give them some reality about their future. In verse 6, Jesus predicts the complete destruction of the temple. Now, scholars differ on exactly what events he is predicting. Some say he was predicting the destruction of the temple, which happened in 70 AD. And it's true. When the Romans came and destroyed the temple, not one stone was laying upon the other. Now, one of the reasons for that was that as the temple was being burned, the gold plating melted into the fire and into the cracks of the rocks. And the Roman soldiers, looking for the melted gold, literally took apart all the rocks to find it. Now, other scholars say that this prediction is for the end times, right before Jesus returns. And then there's still other scholars that think it is both. Now, what happened to Jerusalem in 70 AD is a foreshadowing of what will eventually happen on a global scale right before the return of Christ. Now, for the limited time that we have together, I want you to focus on what things will look like and how you should respond to them. For the rest of the chapter, you have read this list of frightening and challenging things that will happen. And we really don't have time to go through all of them line by line, but I want you to know something. Just as the poor widow trusted in God and not her surroundings or her situation, we're to do the same thing. We are to trust that God will give us strength and courage. We are to trust that God will give us the words to say when we need to speak, when we are persecuted. We are to trust that God holds everything, even our very lives, our families, our jobs, everything, in His hands. One thing is for sure, we need to let go of our trust in things so that we can hold on to His hand as He walks us through our future. Have a great day in the Lord, Willowbrook.